This video is sponsored by Metacast Group. Metacast Group connects companies with creators in the NFT industry through a network of industry-specific platforms that have passionate audiences of NFT and metaverse enthusiasts. Hear or see your ads on platforms just like this to amplify your reach, connect with your target audience, promote your project, and convert views into action. Take the first step towards broadcasting your message across the metaverse by contacting www.metacastgroup.com. Thanks for the sponsorship. Hello and welcome to Blockchain Gaming World with me, John Jordan. So it is our regular monthly roundup of what's going on with the top blockchain games. So this is taking data from DappRadar. Anyone can go and have a look at that on the website, dappradar.com. And here I'm just looking at the daily active unique wallet. So for every day, we're looking at the number of unique wallet interactions with these games, effectively with their smart contracts. And I've got the top 5 games here. I should point out there are sort of other games that sort of come in and out, but I'm kind of at the moment sticking with these 5 to kind of get the sort of broader trends. I think there's a lot of kind of fluff around some blockchain games that sort of come in and out. But you know, in future, I'm obviously looking to see if there's any other games I feel we should be kind of covering. But this is what I've got at the moment and have been for most of 2021. So here we have the kind of the data. So we're starting here in April, and we're going through just into kind of the first week in July. So to some degree, it looks like on this scale of graph, not a lot has changed. As we go into it, we'll see there has been a bit of change actually. But we can see here the big rise was Alien Worlds, which has sort of bombed up, reached over 400,000 daily active unique wallets. Has since come down to kind of closer to sort of between 200,000 and 250,000, something like that. So I guess a slight decline, sort of if you sort of map this down. The problem with Alien Worlds is it's so big that it sort of destroys the vertical scale here. I've talked about Alien Worlds a lot. The sort of big issue with it as a game is there isn't really any gameplay at the moment. It's sort of like a farming, a token farming application. Now there is game stuff coming. We are led to believe, but you know, we haven't seen really any sort of gameplay. So I guess, you know, potentially I wouldn't include it because it's not really a game, but it's the biggest one, so I think it's kind of worth covering. So that's why that's there, and it's you know, at the moment, you know, it's just a slightly weird sort of thing where people just sort of come in, equip NFTs, and then earn out this token that they can then use to buy more NFTs or sell on. But the more game stuff will be coming. Okay, so let's get rid of sort of Alien Worlds and have a look at a bit more detail with a sort of normal, sort of a better scale. So I've taken Alien Worlds off here. It's the same scale, and we can see the sort of 4 games beneath. So in red here we have Upland, which is a sort of mobile-based kind of property-owning game, a bit like Monopoly, running on the EOS blockchain. And again, you know, if Alien Worlds hadn't been around, you know, the big story would be Upland, which has grown over the last year or so from you know, a few thousand daily active unique wallets. So we actually have a peak here at the start of July, up to 40,000. So a big peak, sort of dropped away again. But we can kind of see there's sort of a wave going on here. But it's, you know, it's constantly between 20,000 and sort of 25,000, you know, up or down there in this big peak. So still sort of growing, and more features coming out there. So that's sort of the in second place. And Upland is, you know, you can tell it is a game, you know, blockchain game where you're kind of owning property and collecting rent and collecting things, and now you can start to build out your property and stuff. So there is a good economic model in there. But the sort of big news of sort of June, July is, certainly into July, is the rise of Axie Infinity, which I've covered in various other videos, but sort of obviously kind of important to point out here. So obviously Axie Infinity has been very successful in terms of the value of some of its assets, or most of its assets, tokens and NFTs. We can also see this reflected in the growth of the sort of daily activity, which is you know, it is a important metric. It's not, I wouldn't say it's the most important metric for a blockchain game, but it's clearly you know, good to measure how many people are interacting with this. And we can see here, you know, Axie Infinity has bobbled around here for a few hundred to 1,000 for a long time. And what's happened now is it's basically kind of launched its own blockchain called the Ronin blockchain. It's actually what we call a layer 2 solution. So it's kind of, it uses Ethereum for its security, but it just allows stuff to happen much quicker and without gas fees. And gas fees have obviously been a big issue for anything running on Ethereum over the last year. So here we can sort of see Axie Infinity sort of unleashed, that it's gone from a few thousand daily active unique wallets, broken through 10,000, and now heading towards 20,000 daily active unique wallets. So it's a pretty big growth. We'll have a look at that in a bit more detail. And just to see also what's going on, we have Splinterlands here, which is a bit difficult to see, but is actually sort of slowly growing. But nothing like sort of this explosive growth. It's actually been around for 3 years now, so it's a game that's sort of quite mature in some regards. Still growing, but more like kind of 10%, rather than sort of doubling, tripling, whatever Axie has done. Also got prospectors in here. This runs across 2 blockchains, so it runs on the Wax and the EOS blockchain. I'm combining those 2 totals, and it has been increasing actually quite steadily, as we looked at in previous months. Partly because I think the Alien Worlds runs on the Wax blockchain, so the prospectors version that runs on the Wax blockchain has also seen like a doubling of its user base, I guess, some sort of spillover effect there. But it's sort of declining now a little bit. So Splinterlands and prospectors, doing okay. 8,000, 7,000 daily active unique wallets. But Axie Infinity is where it's sort of the big news, I suppose, of June, July. So let's have a look at a bit more detail on its own scale, so we can kind of see, bobbles under. Some days, 5,000. Some days, kind of looks like sort of zero. Bobbles up and down, and then we kind of get this, a typical sort of rocket ship, sort of hockey stick, whatever term you want to use. And this is where the stuff's moving over to Ronin, and people are starting to play. A lot of people are starting to play, and then people are covering it more. It's getting tweeted about more. The price of the assets is going up. That's encouraging people to come in and buy the assets. More people are like, what's Axie Infinity? Coming in and playing the game. So we see this very, very strong increase. Should also point out that Axie Infinity, in terms of the off-chain activity, is now up to about 350,000 DAUs. So you can play the game off-chain. So you're not interacting with the blockchain at all. You're just playing the battling part of the game. So we're actually measuring the on-chain activity. So this is people who are either kind of trading NFTs or breeding Axies, or claiming the SLP token, which is what you get when you battle. So this is sort of a subset of the overall activity. But this is what we expect with blockchain games. Most blockchain games will not be running everything on chain, even on the faster chains. It makes more sense to have some aspects of the game centralized, like a traditional game would be, and some aspects obviously using the blockchain. Depends exactly how the game design is set up on there. But we can kind of see this very, very strong growth. Break it down a bit more. This is just for June, July, so kind of shorter time frame. You can kind of see about 2,500 at the start of June. And then, so we're almost getting on for kind of almost tenfold increase. Quite how this will go, I don't know. Ronin has had some issues with servers, so they've had to kind of sort of increase their server capacity, because this has been quite a surprising increase. And we all sort of know with increases, what tends to happen is they tend to peak and then drop off again. So we'll wait to see what happens with Axie. I think Axie is really, has now risen head and shoulders above everything else in terms of the complexity of the blockchain game, and certainly the complexity of the economic kind of system that's underlying that game. And obviously people are earning money from that, and are using that to live on in places like the Philippines. So it's kind of highlighting, I guess, that blockchain games are, they can be fun. I wouldn't say Axie Infinity at the moment is the most exciting sort of game in the world in terms of the gameplay, but bringing in these new features, and obviously everything in a blockchain game, or many things in the blockchain game, will have economic value, real value. That's why you use a blockchain. So we're kind of seeing, I guess, this sort of what people call play to earn mechanic coming in, and this is when people can earn money in a sustainable way. Then obviously lots of people get quite excited. And I should point out, it is interesting because with Axie at the moment, if you want to enter the game, you have to have 3 Axie NFTs, and that's going to cost you about kind of $600-700 to get those entry level NFTs in there. So in a way, this is sort of gated, that you have to be fairly well off to actually get involved in this. There are ways of doing it. If you're in somewhere like the Philippines, you can go through a scholarship program where they lend you NFTs to play. So that's where we're seeing sort of a lot of the growth actually coming in. But this explosive growth is happening, and it's not actually very easy for people who just don't know anything about Axie to come on board and start playing. So this is in a sense, this is even more surprising in terms of the on-chain activity, because this is quite hard to access. Either you pay a lot of money, or you have to go through some onboarding processes to get to be able to borrow the Axies you need. So in a sense, you know, this is, although this growth is very fast, this is actually constrained growth. If it was just an open blockchain game, I think, you know, we'd have this going, you know, much faster. So just kind of make that point. Anyway, that's what we got for June. Definitely be very keen on seeing what's happening with Axie Infinity in throughout July. Keeping our eye on that. Maybe do some another video in a couple of weeks or so, rather than waiting till the end of the month, because I think Axie Infinity has a lot of eyes on it, and it's good to keep our eyes on that too. Anyway, thanks for watching. This is Blockchain Gaming World, where we spend our time looking at data, playing blockchain games, trying to make sense of it all. If you like that sort of stuff, please do subscribe. But thanks for watching, and see you again soon.